My girlfriend told me she was pregnant, and a few days later, she said she had an abortion, all as a joke. She shattered my dreams of becoming a father, and I'm devastated now. My girlfriend is the only person I truly trust and tell everything to, so I don't have anyone else I can confide in. I know neither she nor any of our friends use Reddit, so they won't see this story. I've decided to post it here because I need to tell it to someone. I'm 27M, and my GF 28F, and I have been together for the past 2 years. It's my first serious relationship, and she's the only person I truly love. I mean, I really love her. I have 4 siblings and a mother. I like my siblings, but I do not love them, and I hate my mother because she was physically and mentally abusive. I've never been close to them, and I always thought that if you are related by blood, you don't have to love that person. However, I knew one thing: if I ever have kids, I will love them no matter what. Becoming a dad was my most important dream. Not just a father, but a daddy. A man who will do anything for his family, who will watch when his kids take their first steps, say their first words. I just wanted to be with them, look at them, listen to them, but now I don't know if I still want it. My GF told me she definitely wants to have kids in the future because it was her dream too, to become a mom, and she's more than happy to have a family. We like to make pranks on each other, but they were innocent jokes like doorway tape pranks or hiding a small plastic spider in the drawer. It all happened this week. Last week, we lived like usual, and there was no indication that my girlfriend was planning a prank on me. On Thursday, after I came back from work, she was sitting concerned in her living room. I immediately noticed it and sat next to her, asking what happened. She then pulled out a pregnancy test and told me she is pregnant. I couldn't believe it. I was more than happy. I hugged her tight and kissed her. She was still concerned, but I was telling her excitedly that we will be parents, and we both know it's a big responsibility, but we will make it together. Then she asked me not to tell anyone yet because she wanted to do it personally. I said it's not a problem because on Sundays, we often have dinner at her parents' house, so I thought she would tell them then. I was the happiest man alive. Before I found out about the pregnancy, I was looking for an engagement ring. I wanted to ask her to marry me, but I decided to wait, to buy her the ring that she deserves, and do it properly. I was excited all day and wanted to spend all my time with her, but she was not in the mood. I thought it was hormones, so I didn't push her and let her be alone, assuring her that I am there if she needed anything. When we got to bed, she was still in a bad mood. I hugged her, massaging her belly, telling her that I loved her and that we would make it. Before we fell asleep, she told me she needed to take a day off work. I said it's fine, and if she feels bad, to call me, and I will come home from work earlier to be with her. The next day, I woke up before her as usual, went to work, leaving her a note that said, "You will be a perfect mother." I wanted to assure her that everything would be fine. I texted her a few times during work, but she didn't respond. I was a little worried, and I decided to talk to her later. When I came back from work, she wasn't at home, so I texted her and called a few times, but she didn't respond. I called her mother and sister to ask if they knew where she was, but they didn't. I decided to wait a few hours while I tried to call her many times. After 4 to 5 hours, she came back. I went to her, hugged her, and asked if everything was fine, and she told me, yes, now everything is fine. She told me we needed to talk, so we sat down, and I waited for what she wanted to say. At the beginning, she said that she was afraid of the pregnancy and knew that she would not be able to be a good mother. I interrupted her, telling her that she would be a great mother, and as an example, I gave her how close she was to her niece, how wonderfully she took care of her, and how much she loved her. She told me this is a different situation, and she didn't want to be a mother yet, and with a little smile, she told me, I had an abortion. I couldn't believe it, so I asked her to say it one more time, and once again, She told me she had an abortion. My heart was completely broken when I heard that, and my eyes started to water with tears, and I asked, why? Why did you do it? You said you wanted to be a mother. I felt weak and fell on my knees next to the sofa, crying. I reached out and placed my hand on her stomach, still asking, why? I looked her in the eyes and said, how could you? How could you kill my baby? I saw it in her eyes. She was regretting it, but she wasn't answering. For the last time, I asked, screaming at her, why did you kill my baby? Then she started crying. She was saying it's not like that, and it was all a prank. I started crying even harder and asked her if she's still pregnant, but she denied it. She said she never was pregnant, and all of it was supposed to be a joke. She hugged me, saying she was sorry and she didn't think I would react like this. After a few minutes of crying and saying she was sorry, I asked her why she did that, why she thought it would be funny, but she couldn't respond to me. I pushed her away and walked out, saying I need to be alone. She wanted to stop me, but I told her to leave me alone, and I walked out. I got in my car and drove off. I stopped at a parking place about 40 kilometers from where I live. All the time, my phone was ringing. I knew it was my GF, but I didn't want to talk to her, so I turned on airplane mode. I unfolded the seat so I could lie on it. For a few hours, I lay there and didn't think about anything, but I fell asleep. I woke up when my alarm started ringing. At first, I wasn't sure where I was, but after a few seconds, I remembered what happened yesterday. I started to cry again. I was cold because the temperature was about 10 C. It was a Saturday, but I had to go to work. I calmed down after a few minutes and went to work. One of my friends saw that something was bothering me and asked what happened, and because I'm not the type of person who shares my problems with others, I just said I had slept badly and had a bad day. He said, "Shit happens," gave me a smile, and walked on his way. After my shift, I drove off from work, and during the ride, I cried again. I was always afraid of becoming a burden to someone, so I decided to sleep again in my car. My phone was dead, so I spent the entire day lying in the car, thinking about what had happened. Every time I tried to imagine myself as a dad, I couldn't, and each time I cried. My heart was shattered, and I didn't know what to do. Today, Sunday, I've decided to go back home and talk with my girlfriend. In the next few days, I will provide an update. I don't know what to say to her. I don't even know how I will react when I see her. But I know one thing for sure, she lost my trust. She knew that being a dad was my dream, and I don't know if I can forgive her. I don't know how to begin this update. First, let me give you some background story. When we started dating, I was at my lowest point. I had a job that I hated, but thanks to that job, I met her. It was a food truck, and she would come by sometimes. She was always nice and cheerful, and she's also beautiful. I've never been confident, and I was a little overweight, about 13 kg/30 pounds, so I decided to slip my number into her order because I was too shy to ask her out directly. She texted me the same day and asked if I wanted to go on a date with her. At the time, I was renting a small and crappy flat, so we went for a walk and then to a restaurant. We had a lot in common: books, movies, music, food preferences, and we had a great time together. She quickly became my girlfriend. Over the next few months, she showed me many times that she cared for me and loved me. She was the first person who believed in me, who told me I could do anything I set my mind to. Thanks to her, my confidence went up, I lost weight, and gained some muscles. I changed jobs to one with much better pay, so I could afford things like vacations, a better car, or nice gifts for her. When she had a bad day, I always wanted to cheer her up, cooking a nice dinner, buying flowers, or just spending quality time with her. We shared our dreams, and we both dreamed of having a family. She has a nice family who quickly accepted me. Her mom was happy because she saw that I cared about my girlfriend, and her dad finally had a son to have a beer with. She also has an older sister, 33F, who is a single mother to a daughter, 5F. I really liked her family and enjoyed the time we spent together. After many years, I could finally see how a normal family functions. I really enjoyed spending time with her niece. She's very cheerful and playful, and she quickly started calling me uncle, which made me very happy. We never had a fight, neither of us raised our voices or did anything to hurt each other. Throughout the years, I learned that couples can solve most of their problems by talking and expressing their feelings. I saw a few relationships of my friends break down due to a lack of communication. When we started spending more time together, we talked a lot. She was the first person who truly understood what I was feeling, how difficult my life had been. She pulled me out of the hole where I had been spending my whole life. We never argued during our relationship. I only raised my voice to her once, while I was working at my old job. I came back from work in a bad mood and just wanted some alone time. She tried to cheer me up by tickling me, but I asked her several times to stop. When she didn't, I shouted that I wasn't in the mood and needed to be alone. She apologized, as did I, and after that, I never raised my voice to her again. One more thing I want you to know is that abortion is illegal in my country. The closest country with legal abortion is a 5-hour ride away, so I was sure she could not have made it in time. That's why I believed her when she said it was a prank. For those who say she didn't want a baby, that's not true. She did want one and told me many times. We had many discussions about it and agreed that we would try to have a baby after getting married. But if somehow we had a child before that, we would keep it. She told me even if I changed my mind, she would keep the baby, like her sister did. Her sister knew she would be a single mother because when the father of the child found out she was pregnant, he left her. We talked about how we would raise our children, what behaviors we should avoid, and I expressed my concerns about how my upbringing in a bad environment might affect my parenting. She told me that if we needed it, we would go to therapy together, not just me. Now, onto what happened when I came home after being gone for 2 days. It was more messed up than I could have imagined. When I walked in, she wasn't there, but her mom was. She immediately came to me, hugged me tight, and apologized profusely, saying my girlfriend shouldn't have done what she did, and the joke was the most disgusting thing she could imagine. I hesitated to hug her, but she was holding me tightly, and after a few seconds, I hugged her back. We stood there hugging for a few minutes. It was the first time I experienced motherly love. We sat down, and she told me that my girlfriend had explained everything to her. Then she told me something that completely surprised and shocked me. She told me that my girlfriend had planned it with one of her best friends, let's call her B, yes, like a bitch. When I heard this, I couldn't believe it, but after thinking about it for a while, I remembered rumors from my friends that B was responsible for the breakdown of her previous relationship by asking one of her friends to try to sleep with my girlfriend's ex. Since I've only lived in my current city for 3 years, we have mostly mutual friends, and I heard from them that B was talking trash about me behind my back. I knew she talked badly about everyone behind their backs. B knew I wanted to be a dad, like all our close friends. My girlfriend's mother told me that she had told them everything, showed them evidence of how she prepared for this joke, and showed them the messages from B where she admitted her role in the plan. During our conversation, she held my hand the whole time, and I saw real concern in her eyes. That's when I realized that she probably cared about me more than I thought. I knew they accepted me as their daughter's boyfriend, but I wasn't sure if they would treat me like a son. My girlfriend's mom told me that she called them crying, and her dad was sure I had hurt his daughter and was mad. When they came to our flat, she was sobbing, and before she explained what happened, she kept saying how she messed up. They were mad at her. She didn't tell me the details, but when her sister found out about it, she was furious and probably said every insult she knew. She also told her to start praying because she wouldn't be surprised if we broke up. After that, I smiled to myself and asked where she was. Since I had not given any sign of life for 2 days, she went to report me missing to the police. She stayed in our house just in case I came back. She pulled out her phone and texted her that I'm safe at home. After a few minutes, she and her dad came back. She looked like a mess. When she saw me, she started crying and rushed to me, hugging me tight, and kept saying how sorry she was. She told me she was afraid I would do something stupid because of her. I asked her why she did that, and she started crying louder, saying she didn't know and that it was a mistake. I asked her if she really had an abortion, and she denied it. I told her to prove it because I didn't believe her. She showed me that she had bought an online pregnancy test with a positive result, and when she opened the messages with B, she was shocked because B had deleted every message from the past week. I could see on her phone that B had deleted messages. My girlfriend showed me all the parts of what she wrote to B, and as I was reading them, she remembered that she had sent me screenshots with all the evidence. I read all the messages she showed me, and I was pretty sure she hadn't had an abortion, but I still had doubts. Then I looked at the screenshots, and it clearly showed me that they had both planned it. I read that it was B's idea, and I came to the conclusion that she just wanted to destroy our relationship. My girlfriend told me what she remembered from her texts, like how she should act, and she even suggested recording it. After that, I told her I was tired and needed to get some rest, and we would talk tomorrow. I plugged my phone into charging and went to sleep. I woke up about 2 hours later when my girlfriend wanted to lie down next to me. I simply said no and told her to sleep on the couch. She stood there for a few seconds, then said okay, and took a pillow, walking out of our bedroom. The next day, I texted my girlfriend not to read or answer calls from B because I wanted to check something. I called B and asked if my girlfriend had really had an abortion or if it was a joke. She told me she had no idea what I was talking about. I played dumb and thanked her. I thought about it a lot and came to some conclusions. When I returned, my girlfriend and her sister were already waiting for me. I sat next to her and started talking. I told her that the chances of us being together were slim, very slim. I explained that there would be a lot of work ahead of us if she wanted us to stay together, but first, I made clear what was non-negotiable. I demanded that she cut off all contact with B, completely, without any exceptions. I knew they had known each other for almost 20 years. I asked her if she understood why I required this. She nodded, tears in her eyes. I asked her to explain it to me, and she told me that she understood B was trying to sabotage our relationship. She had heard rumors about B, her ex, and her friend. When she confronted B, she denied it and blamed everything on my girlfriend's ex. After that, my girlfriend was sure the rumors were true and that she should have cut ties with B long ago. She assured me she would also cut off anyone else who tried to destroy our relationship. I then told her about the second thing, therapy. We would go as a couple and individually. I admitted that I might try to use therapy to gain something for myself, but it was necessary for us. I warned her that she should prepare for weeks, even months, of a cold treatment from me, although I knew I would eventually forgive her. However, she could be certain that I would never forget what happened. I made it clear that it would stay with me for the rest of my life, and I would likely remind her of it more than once. She started crying again, and we spent a lot of time talking about various other things. I asked her if she was at work that day, and she said she was at work as usual. I asked for her car keys, she gave them to me, and I told her I'd be back in a few minutes. I went to her car and checked the records from that day. I saw that she had indeed gone to work and then to her parents'. I spent the next half hour watching videos and tracing her movements, nothing unusual, just work, the store, her parents, and her sister's place. Before I returned home, I heard through the doors how my girlfriend's sister was yelling at her for what she did. I quietly opened the door and went inside, still listening to her sister's screams. I entered the room and saw my girlfriend with her head between her knees, sobbing loudly. Despite everything, I couldn't bear to see her crying like that. I told her sister that enough was enough and asked her to leave us alone. I then walked over to my girlfriend, hugged her, and she hugged me back, repeating how sorry she was. We spent the rest of the evening hugging and talking. We found a therapist, and we have an appointment for next week. The next day, we met with a few friends who already knew about the situation since my girlfriend had told them everything while I was missing. we explained that we were cutting off all contact with B and would not participate in any events where she would be present. Our friends weren't surprised. I mentioned that I had heard several different rumors from B about a few of them and knew she was talking negatively behind my back. I didn't repeat what I had heard because I knew it was all lies. Each of our friends told me that if I ever needed to talk, I should let them know. I know many of you expected me to break up with her, but I simply can't. I've decided to stay with her because I genuinely love her and I don't want to let go of that. I plan on having a conversation with her family. I want to build a closer bond with them and get to know them better. I believe that this joke incident will ultimately strengthen our relationship. I've read some of the comments, but not all of them as I wasn't expecting such a large response. I didn't anticipate such a significant reaction. Thank you all for your kind words and constructive criticism. I understand that I also need to work on myself. Regarding B, I'm not sure when, but she will regret her actions. I didn't anticipate causing such a stir in the comments. This will be my first and last update on this matter. I'm going to limit my use of social media, including TikTok, Reddit, and other sites. Take care, everyone.